Okay, hello everybody. Hopefully you are all doing so incredibly well. It feels good to be back. Um I looked and I just saw that I hadn't been live here since April the 3rd, which is kind of tells you a little bit about kind of how I run these things. Um Previously, I had a Twitch channel, and on the Twitch channel, it's still active today. I think I have about 3,000 or so people that have subscribed to me there. I used to be very consistent with streaming, but then I kind of started like falling off and doing a bunch of other things, and that's kind of how my mind works. When I get involved or get interested in certain things that I will just am laser focused, and then other things that I'm doing that's in the community, I may still be active on like a Twitter or something like that. But I don't keep up streams well, is what I'm trying to say. It's a weird thing for me. Well, let's check in and let's see how everybody is doing here today. So, wanted to look over here and let's see what do we have going on in the chat here today. Hey Ridley. So let's see, what do we have going on here today? It says, "Hi Michael, been testing PKG dumper and backing up my library. That's awesome. Let me know how that's going. What's up, modding gaming? Hi." D says, "Yo." Uh, Remus says, "All right, all right. Okay, got the new Orbis too. I've been hearing and I've been seeing over on Twitter a couple of folks talking about this new Orbis tool too. Um, what's making the big difference? What is it that people are enjoying? I saw a couple of the screenshots of it, but I don't have it myself. So I'm very interested in what other people are really enjoying with that. Alex, what's up? Hello. PS4 new jailbreak? Not yet. This time I have it up there. Whee! No known exploits. Fromage, hello. Doing great. And how am I doing? I'm doing great too. I've been busy. Um, I've been busy with a bunch of different things, especially in regards to work. Lots of stuff kind of going on there over the last little bit. Fromage says, "Do you know if there is a PKG store anywhere?" I think what you're probably looking for there is probably more than likely a PKG store that are you refer let me make sure first off you're not referring to something like PKG Zone. So back over here. Whee! Um PKG Zone. This is by my good friend Lightning Mods. And so this is actually, I really love Lightning Mods. Like, despite that I was angry that he was asking people to pay for Homebrew, great developer, makes a lot of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things. PKG Zone may be something that you may be looking at for kind of like a package store. You can also go here and download the HB Store R2 in order to run that directly on your PlayStation to update things. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for there. You said a package store, so just let me know what you think. Ernest, what is up, Ernest? How are you doing? It's good to see you again. Are you still watching Ernest? Ernest is a TV show, or was a TV show, that I don't know if a lot of people that subscribes to this channel or hangs out here knows who Ernest is. But it was a character that was made up that was originally selling like different types of things. I remember he did like lots of little commercials. And then he became popular, and then he started doing movies. One of them was like Ernest Scared Stupid, I think was the name of it. Um, Ernest T. Bass. No, that's the other Ernest. That's the one from Andy Griffin. Ernest TV character. This is sad. There we go. Jim Varney was the person who did that. Anyway, that's kind of interesting there. Very funny, at least to me, if you like that type of humor, kind of like slapstick type of humor. Let's see here. Bartos, nothing changes for me. Unfortunately, it's still causing troubles. Okay, so talking about Orbis Toolbox here and pop up with an error after rest mode or kernel panics. Interesting. Your stream cycle is fine. Sometimes you need to do other things. Thank you there, Nicholas. Let's see. No more like PKGI on the PS3. Oh, yes. I think I know what you're talking about. I spent a little bit of time today because I've been doing some just playing around kind of over on the PS3. And so I think what you are looking for there is this little application. This little application for PS4. If it loads, I don't know what it's doing right now at the moment. There it goes. No. So this application does not exist for the PlayStation 4. Very much different in the way that those games on PlayStation 4 are signed. This method was, very similar to like Vita's. And so that's why there is PKGIs for Vita and for the PlayStation 3. These obviously take that game directly off of the right off of Sony's servers. So there isn't anything that happens necessarily, like you may expect. In other words, these games are coming directly off of Sony's servers. PKGI installs these tickets and this verification to make it think that it's legit. Same thing for the Vita, which I didn't bring my Vita in here with me today. But this does not exist for the PlayStation 4. Now, there has been unofficial stores that I have seen for the PlayStation 4 that would that had some of the games in there, but definitely not all of them. So, unfortunately, you will not be able to do this on a PlayStation 4. I'll switch back to this screen right here. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have in here today? It says, do you know, okay, hey Michael, how are you? Hey, Controversy, I believe that's it, Controversy Mods. I like that name. I'm doing well, and how are you, friend? Yeah, exactly. First time catching you live. Well, I'm glad that you catch me live. It's actually pretty hard to catch me live, mainly because I don't have a very consistent schedule. So yeah, that's the main thing. Lightning Mods is doing some great stuff, helping us get from 5 to 9. Yes, I am very much aware of that situation. I might have had an opinion somewhere down the line in regards to I didn't like Homebrew being paid for. It's funny how all of that kind of took off because I was very vocal about I did not like Homebrew being paid for in the PlayStation 4 scene. Obviously, it stirred up on Twitter like big time, way more than what I ever thought that it was going to. And then Modded Warfare had released a video and had posted some of my tweets. After he did that, that like opened up the floodgates. People started following me like crazy on Twitter, and I thought it was a fairly legit. I mean, nothing was bad. Nobody said anything bad about it, but I thought it was a fairly legit concern. Starting to allow people to get away with selling homebrew. And the main thing that I said about all of that was that for the most part with homebrew, you're building off of the backs of other people. Like, if you release homebrew and you sell that homebrew, well, all the, forefathers before you that allowed that system to be exploited should probably also get something, because that's the only reason that your homebrew's working. Obviously, on my stance on all of that, I absolutely love the model that Sistro and the creator of Goldhen uses, which follows a Ko-Fi, which is a donation site. So Goldhen has been free forever. Anybody can grab it, which is what I like. I think you should donate. I've donated live, to him, but the thing that got me with Lightning Mods was that you had to pay a certain amount of money in order to gain access to the homebrew. And I didn't share those opinions alone. There was actually a lot of people that shared a lot of the same opinions that I had, especially like on Reddit and so forth. I think I linked out to like some of them. At the end of the day, what happened was that he went back and said you don't have to pay anymore. Originally, it was you just have to pay. Now it was I want to try to get to $300 or whatever. Once I get to that $300, then it'll be free for everybody, which is just another way, around that. Obviously, I understand folks have got to eat. I will say that I've always worked in technology. I've always worked in computers and things of that nature. Homebrew and this sort of stuff, like hacking, like consoles and things of that nature, that's not anything that is going to be profitable unless you are disclosing to Sony. Like the biggest and best of these YouTube channels, they don't make anything. Like especially if you're a homebrew developer, like Lightning Mods, he made $300. If you look at what the hourly rate is of a developer today, like $300 is barely 2 hours worth of work. Like I said, I live in Redmond, so I'm around a lot of developers. But anyway, that's kind of that. Let's see. The audio sound high pitch. So how is the audio? I'm not sure if there's any changes there in the audio. They're same as I usually have. Do I play the Dreamcast? Let me know if how the audio is. Sound like a robot? Oh. Okay. Let's do this. Switch. Okay. Any changes there, or I still sound like a robot? Let me know if I still sound like a robot or not. Shouldn't be sounding like one, or I don't think it would. Still sounds like a robot. Okay, well maybe I should just be a robot. Let's see. Let's go. Bring this one back on. Bring this back up again. Okay, let's try it. Sometimes if I clear it up and then refresh it, that it usually helps out a little bit. Still the same thing? Just want to test one more time, see if it still sounds real bad. If it does, I have maybe a few more things I can try there. Still? Okay. So let's go to, see, profile presets. Sound okay? Check your OBS. Yeah, I'm in OBS right now. OBS does not, let's see. I'm going to take this. Let me close out of this one. Let's exit. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Let's see here. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's see if this helps. If none of this helps, then I'm not 100% sure. Go XLR. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. I kind of think it's the microphone. Microphone 1, channel, test, presets, profile. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, now normal. So I did absolutely nothing. Nothing. I just fiddled with this a little bit. All right, then I'm going to stay right here. Okay. All right, we're back. UV says, "Are you a developer?" I wouldn't consider myself mainly a developer. I do some development related work, but my full-time job, no, I'm not a developer. I work as a program manager in my day-to-day job. Okay, so let's talk about some of these things. I've kind of got a list here to kind of go through, and let's talk about some of this stuff. There's a lot of homebrew goodness that's happened here lately. All right, so let me get this booted back up, and I'm about to switch over, and let's talk about some of the latest and greatest happenings in the PlayStation 4 scene. Okay, so if you have been living under a rock, you may have noticed, you may not have noticed, there has been a brand new PS4 system software update. So version 9.60 came out, and this was on 5/12/2022. This is also one that I haven't covered yet. And this is another one that just says, hey, the system software update improves system performance, which, yeah, that's not really telling us anything whatsoever, right? It's the same thing that we saw right over here with version 9.51. The system software update improves software performance. So we don't really know necessarily what's been happening in these two. Now, I did a video for 9.50 where actually I showed what was going on right here with this kind of like party mode. So this was a party mode. Basically, this is something that was just a leftover that they had already had for PlayStation 5 that they were able just to use over here with PlayStation 4. I believe that for the most part with PlayStation 4, and especially with these updates, and this is the only decent thing that they've given is this new party feature, which I don't know if people cares about having closed parties or open parties, but this has really kind of been it for the PlayStation 4 over just the last little bit. If you in turn come over here and you take a look at the PS5, obviously the PS5 and the PS4, they release their updates together. So if you see one drop for PlayStation 4, then you're obviously going to see one drop around the same time for PlayStation 5. So right here was the latest, also came out right here on 5/12/2022. And here it was, this software update improves system performance. You can see with the 5.02, this one also released, hey, it's the same system performance. But then back in 5.00, this is where they put the parties, right? So scrolling down into this, you can see the Ukrainian language support was also copied directly for the PlayStation 4, basically because they're building it for PlayStation 5, so they're able just to basically kind of copy and paste it over. That's what at least I think. Voice command feature that was only on PlayStation 5. Accessibility was the same. And then for the Friends tab, there it is. So easier access, friends, and then parties. So right here was where you could select an open or a closed party, which is what they kind of gave right here. And yeah, so you really got 3 of these features in 9.50, but for PlayStation 5 on 5, we got quite a bit more. Accessibilities, from game-based to accessibilities to trophies to just a few other features here. You can now share the screen and start your gameplay to open the party. And then here was just a bunch of other features that just didn't make it over to the PlayStation 4. Some of them may or may not have made a lot of difference. I would think that we support more emojis. I would think that they could do that, right? That they could have done that. Yeah, that's a good comment. How many times has the PS4 improved system performance? That one is very, 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 very typical, right? That one happens all the time. Mainly, I think they don't want to tell us, but there is multiple people that is looking into each one of these releases to see what has changed from one to the next. Hello there, Mustafa. And then UV says, I really feel Z null pointer has been betrayed because he got most of his donations for a PS4 jailbreak, not the PS5. What do you think? Yeah, others let me know what you think, or let UV know what you think there. So that's it for the PS4 and the PS5. The other surprising news was that the PS3 got an update, and then the PlayStation Vita also got an update. Both of those updates still the same sort of thing. I think for the most part, and one little trick that you can do is that, let's see, I don't know how they do it for Vita, but let's just go PS3 here in the URL. And so up at the top here, PS4, PS5, PS3, you can just change those up in the very top to switch those around. So this is the one that came out for the PlayStation 3. This was yet another 4.89 update. And this one was signing into the PlayStation Network now requires a device password for enhanced account protection. Okay, so that helps me how? I mean, I guess to stay more protected. And then account creation for the PlayStation Network and some account management features are no longer available on the console. So use your PC or mobile browser to use account management features with improved speed, performance, and safety. Okay, so basically, if you're on your PlayStation 3 and you update to 4.89, you lose features and functionality. So that's in the update. That is the main thing that's on the update. So that's so crazy. So there was also the one for the Vita, and we'll go on and do some of the questions in just a second. So let me duplicate that one. And let me see if it just follows that same format. PS Vita, is it like that? Yeah, it is. So the PlayStation Vita got 3.74. This was also on 5/10/22. And in this one, it was the copy and paste out of the PlayStation 3. So signing into the PlayStation Network now requires a device password, and then account creation for the PlayStation Network and some account management features are no longer available on the console. Use a PC or mobile browser to do that. So definitely a copy and paste between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita, just like what we're seeing over here with the PlayStation 4, getting a bunch of copy and paste, especially in the 9.50, with the same thing that was happening over here, or with the update that was at 5.00. So I believe we can close out on some of the updates for this week. Let's see what is going on inside of the chat here. Let's see what we got here. So, let's see, did I miss anything? One question. Hey, TR Times. Can I jailbreak the PlayStation 4? Yeah, you can jailbreak the PlayStation 4 for sure. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to do that. So you should definitely check out the channel here if you want to jailbreak. I believe I have them all in the ultimate. I do have sound effects sometimes, if I can remember how to turn them on. The ultimate jailbreaks. So, yeah, come right here. You're already on the site. I mean, you're already on the website, so you should be able to see it there. Let's see here. Barto's PS3 hen for all PS3s. That's a really good point there, and that's one that we should probably talk about in just a moment. What firmware are you on? 9.00 on my PlayStation 4, but I've got multiple PlayStation 4s. I've got 4. Is there any way to go from 9.60 to 9.00? This is from Wiggly Toes. So I did this video, and before I say anything, I did this video on downgrading the PS4 5.0 beta to previous versions of the software. This was something that wasn't necessarily, basically inside this video, what you would see is that I had 9.50, I had the beta of it. They pretend as if you can only go back to the very latest official release, which in this instance, you can see this is what the betas look like. They put this up here at the top. And you have to have something special in order to get into the beta program. I probably have talked about that somewhere at some point on how to get in. But to answer your question there, Wiggly Toes, no, not anything that would be something that me or you could do to get from 9.60 to 9.00. I owned a PS4 and hated every time they updated the chat and party menus. Yes, they do tend to make that worse. I mean, there is technically, but the risk is high. Exactly. Can you get hen and debug on 9.60? Nope. Thank you there for your help, UV. I love that with one click, PCF package is being installed on PS4. Fantastic. Let me know which one that was. Mifu says, hey, Michael, is it possible to install legit PSN purchase games to a PS4 jailbreak? So, Mifu, that is a really good question. And I have an answer for you that's inside of one of these videos. And the short version is the only way you can get that content to work again is if at one point that PlayStation 4 was your activated primary console and you downloaded it. If you have, there's no other way because you can't connect to the PlayStation Store. So that's why people use disc-based games or they use fake packages in order to install those games on there. I talked about getting your content back in a video here. It was a pretty good video, mainly because I was able to kind of understand, or I was able to kind of see how to get it back because I had one that I could try. But there is a video that I have that's on that. Here it is. Get your digital PSN content back. I actually created slides for this one. Don't ask me why. Mr. Crump, love the channel. Is there a way to arrange the home screen on the PS4 jailbreak alphabetically? That is so that was from Planet Brooklyn. So there is a file that I believe you can edit in order to get that to work, but it would be a very much a manual process to get those to show up alphabetically. By default, it just doesn't do that. So like, let's see. So like I'm switching over to my PlayStation 4 right now. Whoa, heard some sound or something. So yeah, so by default, some of these are in fixed locations, like the store that's right here. You can see you can't hit the option button. So normally if you hit the options button, you would be able, oopsie, let me move this around again. That way you can see me moving the screen. So come right in here and let me get rid of that audio. And so like here, for example, if you hit the options button, you have the ability to come in here and delete. Well, for some of these, like the store, you don't have that option. Same thing for like what's new. And then coming into this, then that's when you start having those options a little bit easier. So you can do that. Let's see. Wait for more disclosures. Funny question. Can you downgrade to 1.00? That's actually, I like that question mainly because you can, but you will need typically a test PlayStation 4. So if you have a test PlayStation 4, a test kit, which I saw one of those. There was somebody actually selling one of those on our Discord for about $800, but actually this person is legit, not a scammer, so to speak. But yeah, there is absolutely a way you could go to any version of that, but not on your regular retail PlayStation 4s, like the one that I've got here, which all of my PlayStation 4s are just retail. I've never actually seen a test kit before, so I don't know what they're even like if you were to own a test kit. So let's go to this one and let's fix this up a bit. Okay, so let's see. Direct package installer, GitHub new stuff. Okay. Why don't we have an Xbox jailbreak yet? So UV, that's a good question there too. I think for the most part, why we don't have an Xbox jailbreak is that Xbox has always allowed people to go ahead and get dev mode, which would allow you to run things such as if you wanted to go ahead and you wanted to run RetroArch or something like that. They have a developer mode that's been available since day one. It's very much a closed sandbox though, meaning that you can't run backup games or anything like that. It's interesting how Xbox is. I mean, obviously, like Xbox One and Xbox 360. So Xbox One, you can soft mod it. I did videos on soft modding Xbox Ones. Then there's this TSOP flash that you can do, which I did a video on how I did that. Just soldering a couple of points together. Totally free. Xbox 360, there's now a mod that's called RGH3, which would allow you to solder a couple of wires and you can run backups on your Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 is one that I have never really gotten into. I do have 3 Xbox 360s, but primarily because I look out on deal sites, offer up, Craigslist, things of that nature. I'll find one for like $15 and then I'll buy it and then I just store it, which it's a horrible pattern to get into, but that's how I have a whole bunch of consoles that for the most part, they're there if I ever wanted them. I've never been that interested enough in the Xbox 360 to open it up. So I've never opened one. Actually, I take that back. I did open up an Xbox 360 at the beginning when you could flash the DVD drive to run backups. I did that. I still have one 360 that can run DVD-based backups, but nothing that they have like today. Today, Xbox 360 is like excellent for the modding scene people. Let's see here. Looking down into this, Amen says, can you explain how to put configs on PS2 fake package files? I'm always confused. Why hasn't a spoof come out from PlayStation 4? Hey, Ray's stuff. Are you talking about why hasn't there been a firmware spoof? Because there has been, and there is even today, an ability that you can spoof the number. Actually, it's usually for the PS4 5.x that I've seen that you can spoof the numbers, but those numbers don't matter. Like when you try to run the game or try to run the applications, the updated libraries just aren't there. And also, it doesn't fool Sony. Like, it isn't like in the old days where you could, modify that string and then they're like, oh, wow, they're on a higher firmware version, so let's leave them alone. Most of those days are gone. As security and everything gets better, this is the reason we don't have, PKGI for PlayStation 4. I have a small concern. When I install a fake package game, I can see the game in my PS5 library. It's not downloadable or playable, but I fear that Sony may ban my account. So that's interesting. So that's hard for me to comprehend. So on your PlayStation 4, then what you're saying is that you've got fake package games on there, but you can't be logged into PlayStation Network. But then over on your PS5, which this means your PS5 must be updated to the very latest, and you're signed in on the PlayStation Network, you're still able to see those? Yeah, that would freak me out too. Mainly because on the PS4 with the 9.00 Jailbreak, you're not allowed to get onto the PlayStation Network. So yeah, that's interesting. That's something that would be probably even worthy of talking about in a video. Yeah, Arcade Shorts. When will we get a jailbreak? We don't know. Yeah, so there is a couple of things that you can do to change your DNS settings there. So your PS5 is on the very latest version, and your PS4 is on 9.00. Okay. Well, yeah, let me know. Okay, so let's do this. Let's head back and continue down the conversation path that we were just on. And let's go in and let's talk a little bit about the PS5 hacking. Woohoo! So over on what is this? Wolo? I've never even pronounced this thing, but over on this site here, there was this PS5 hacking, a script to dump the PS5 4.03 file system has been released. So if you don't know, on PS5, you want a PS5 that's on 4.03 or lower. I have two PS5s. One of them is on 4.03, which is where I really run most of my games. So on PlayStation 5 right now, I am playing Marvel Avengers is one of the games that I'm playing. Another one that I'm playing is the Observer game. What kind of came out here in this PS5 hacking announcement was, if we scroll down here a little bit, it said, PlayStation hacker Big Boss has provided these ROP scripts to list and to dump the PS5 file system on 4.03 through the WebKit exploit. So this will, of course, not let you dump all files, but the ones that have the accessible permissions via WebKit permissions. This could give us quite an insight into the PlayStation 5 files. So first off, there is this ROP userland execution. This one I've talked about a number of times on the channel. I've ran this a few times on my own PlayStation 4, And it's basically just a couple of series of pop-up boxes that happens. There's 3 pop-up boxes that happens, and this shows exactly this thing running in real time. So while you get a couple of these pop-up boxes, and this is your userland execution, there has been a couple of different files that you could go in and you could add to their code in order to list the files in the folders. So I made a post the other day, and it was got a PS5 on 4.03. If you go to this site right here, then it can dump the content to the screen. This is what Big Boss wrote based off the raw userland execution. Now, several people, let me go here and let me open this in a new link just to show you the code to it. And then here is the exploit.js. And if you look at what I modified here, starting on this line 651, I removed all of their code, and then I added in this code right here, which is what Big Boss created. So this is really just the instructions that was given right here. It said after line 650, you'll probably want to delete the sample sections, which was threading, and replace them with the code below. So I did this, and I posted this this tweet, and I don't know, it did fairly well, but there was some problems. It says doesn't work for me, memory error all the time. And so the reason that I'm calling all of this out here today is that that was one way of doing it. There was also another way down here where you could dump all of those files to a target file on your computer. Now, all of these are great and wonderful instructions, but there is quite an easier way to get all of these files, and that is simply they're posted. Yes. So right now, obviously, you got to have a bunch of things, right? You got to have a PlayStation 5. You got to get it connected, obviously, to the internet. After you get it connected to the internet, you've got to go through and you've got to load up the web page. Once you load up the web page, then you can start dumping the files. Well, that's a lot of additional work when you could just go and download all of those files. And so one of the things, so right there is where that is, right there is where those files are if you want them. And another thing that I have done is that right here is all of those Sandbox files. So inside of this, it says system software version. So obviously 04.03 is what you may want. And it says every file listed inside the Sandbox in this gist, which is a GitHub gist, is available for you to explore and to enjoy. And so I'll just open a new browser here, and we'll go here, and you can see this is by PSX Dev. And going down through this is all of the files that's currently in that folder. So going back over to this, and there's been many people that's made that has explored this more thoroughly. And one thing I would say just to keep in mind here is that this this folder name is going to be different every time. If you look at the code for the script, this is always different. But there is a common folder right here that's got some certs. There is fonts here, so all of the fonts, pretty much the TTFs and the OTFs were in there. Sorry, I don't have anything installed to zoom in my screen right now. And then the common lib files were also in here too. And then going back to common EX, there is a couple of the fonts again. And then finally, there is a lib folder that has some of the ELF files. Again, this is really more so of the files that, at least with this hack, you're able to extract off of the PlayStation 5. Again, it doesn't include everything, and then not everything is unencrypted and ready to go. So it says, like right here, it says people who've been working on the PlayStation 5 have already dumped them. Most likely, they've been able to investigate even more files. Those just want to tag along. This is pretty straightforward to get into PS5 hacking and tinkering. So anyway, I thought that was something that was kind of newsworthy, and it would kind of be interesting just to see. The way that I take all of this is that this is progress. This is progress that's in the scene, and it's progress that means that I feel like we're getting closer each and every day to something happening on the PlayStation 5. Like it just feels like the buildup is just right. I don't know. It feels like the buildup is right. And do keep in mind that the debug settings that we're used to on the PlayStation 4, those there's already been, obviously, trying to think of his name. There's already been somebody that's already been able to show those settings before, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so it says here, Chronic says Mediafire Trophy Unlocker update coming tomorrow. So Chronic, you got to let us know, what is it? Is it just an update to the Trophy Unlocker application that we were looking at before? Wolfer says, hey, how are you doing? I was about to miss this, but luckily it showed up on my feed. Yes, I'm glad it showed up on your feed. YouTube is definitely there. Glad to find your PS4 and Vita videos helpful. Loving these. Can you also give me info on PS3 Homebrew, and what would be the best PS3 to get? Wolfer, that is a great question for what is the right PlayStation 3 to get. There is actually a couple of different models for the PlayStation 3. PS3 models. Let's do this. Let's look at this right here. So I'm going to go to this screen. All right, so for the PlayStation 3 models here, there's these three. The first one is the original model. So the original model is actually the model that I'm using right now. The one thing I would say to keep in mind with the PlayStation 3 stuff is that for PlayStation 3, there's no mod chips, there's no nothing. It's all just software and a flash stick. No special games, none of that type of stuff that you may be used to, especially if you're coming from other consoles. Like, again, we were just talking about the Xbox, right? So this model right here allows you to run custom firmware, which is the reason that this is typically one of the more sought after PlayStations. What I mean by it can run custom software is that you don't actually have to rerun HEN or Homebrew Enabler every time in order to run your Homebrew applications. So the original model is great, but there is obviously problems also with the original model, and that is that it's definitely prone to having various hardware errors, mainly due to the thermal paste of the CPU needing to be repasted again. I fixed a couple of PlayStation 3s, and if you look on my YouTube channel, you'll find PlayStation 3 kind of guides where I walk you through fixing some of the more common kind of errors. They call theirs the YLOD, the yellow light of death, and that's something a lot of people get. So anyway, I like the original models, but you may have to deal with that. There's also a backwards compatible PlayStation 3, which is worth a ton of money if you ever see one of those. Those have SD card slots. Also, they natively will be compatible with previous generations of PlayStation. The Slim model, at least from my knowledge right now, there's only certain Slim models that can run the full custom firmware. Now, let me go back and state that For Homebrew and for running Homebrew, it works on every single PlayStation 3 that exists out there today. But what you probably would want is you would probably want the ability to run custom firmware, again, mainly because you don't have to go through the hassle of enabling the Homebrew every single time you restart the console, which is an absolute pain, to me. But we're used to it, right? On the PlayStation 4, on the entire life cycle right now of the PlayStation, we haven't had any custom firmware. We've always had to re-enable the exploit every single time after reboots. So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's a couple of models of the PS3 Slim. Actually, I have one PS3 Slim in my house that can run custom firmware. For the most part, there's a lot of these models that can't. And there's a couple of guides out there. Now, the last one is the Super Slim. None of the Super Slims can have custom firmware on them. The only thing that they can run is HEN, or the Homebrew enabler. So if you find one of these out in the wild, they're going to be a really rock solid little machine, but you are going to have to be enabling Homebrew each and every time. So that's kind of my take on the PlayStation 3s that's out there. So I don't know, hopefully that helped a little bit. Hey Dash, how are you doing? Is there a way to mod Resident Evil 4 to play with different characters? Mohammed, so in the game in Resident Evil 4, you can do things like use save game files to do things like change. There's like a couple of different outfits. Like Resident Evil 4 is like one of my favorite games of all times. But if you're looking to change them completely up, I don't really know of anything out there that will do that. On the Vita side of things, two things I wish for PS5 Remote Play and PSTV wired controller connection. I have two PSTVs and I'd love to use it in a bar top arcade, hence the weird remote controller. And PSTV wired controller. So I use a Vita dock. I'm sure you've seen of these, right? Like the Vita docks. So if I go back over here to videos and I go to Vita dock right here. Create your own Vita dock. Let me know if you have done this before, but instead of PlayStation TVs, this is what I use for what I use for my Vita. So with this, I've used just a Raspberry Pi 2, a USB for audio, micro SD for the Pi, and there's obviously my Vita, any model. And I display this on my TV, and my DualShock is how I control it. There's plugins for the DualShock for the Vita, unofficial plugins, that is. Throw some light on the Xbox 360 Homebrew. I have got addictive and collective consoles as I find something reasonable. So you are definitely right there with me, right? Wolfer, like loving the Xbox 360 stuff. So let's go to Xbox 360 RGH3. And for the most part, what you want to look for is you want to look for more than likely RGH3 for the Xbox 360s. So this guide right here, this was updated in May. This has which consoles work. So the Jasper and the Falcon, the Slim motherboards, pretty much all of them, I think. You basically need a torque bit, some wrapping wire, and you can go into this and yeah, there's the steps for whichever motherboard that it is. I probably, and here's where the pin layouts are. The guide that I would use though, if I was interested in modding this Xbox 360 is back over here, and I did watch this, or I watched some of it, which was Mr. Mario did a very excellent tutorial on how he modded the RGH3 on a Trinity console. I looked through this video and I thought it was really, really nice on how to do so. And I was thinking if I ever do one, I would probably use his guide. I would probably use his guide in order to get started with that. So Chronic says it's an update for the pre-built PS4 trophy unlockers. Okay. So the trophy unlockers, I covered those before. So going back over here, I don't know what that's doing. Let's see. Let's see if we can refresh it. And let's go back here. And let's go to videos. And then let's do a Control F here. And let's see. Trophy, where are you at? Trophy. So unlock PS4 trophies, that may be it. All PS3 Slim models, custom firmware with data code 11A, not 11B. Oh, so are you saying that there is... Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Basically, it's kind of like a little mod chip, right? PS3, and let's go Slim model CFW. I think that I know what you're talking about there. Actually, wasn't Mr. Mario talking about this? Mr. Mario PS3. I'm wanting to say I saw something that he was talking a bit about it. So let's go to Mr. Mario. Let's go over to mod chat. There it is. PS3 mod chips. Halo 3. That was all about the updates. Oh, yeah. PS3 progress on slim, super slim hardware hacks. What is it? I don't think that exists though today, does it? Yeah, I'm not sure that this exists here today. I think this is something that they were thinking about. Let's see if there's a link to this article. Let's see. There we go. There is a link to it. PS3 progress on Slim. Oh, it's just fresh hopes for a fully fledged custom firmware. Yes, I have seen this. Yeah, I have seen this before. Download this in. It sounds like full control of these consoles would still be possible even if no software flaws are found. Okay. So yeah, that is good information, but yeah, I don't think there's any sort of PlayStation 3 custom firmware for Slims at the moment. This is also a fat model. This is not a super slim. Actually, this is just a slim model, is what that looks like. This, of course, doesn't look easy, but if no software flaws are found, this design could be miniaturized into a fairly simple mod chip. So interesting to me how they make these mod chips. So Dash says, I just bought a PS3 Fat model, and I'm a little bit scared of the PS3 Fat overheating. Any advice to keep the PlayStation 3 Fat from overheating? Dash, for the most part, there is, I think, fan controls. Let's do something. Let's go to... Let's go here. So make sure it's still up and running. Entering power save mode. Come on, wake up. Wake up, PlayStation. All right. I'm seeing if I can get this thing to wake up a little bit for me. I was going to just log on my PlayStation 3 and see if it would just show me. But I believe there is options that's in the PlayStation 3 that would help with that. I think they would. All right, I'm restarting it. I don't know what happened. I wanted just to be able to show you what was kind of going on the PlayStation 3. Let's see if this thing will reboot up properly. In the meantime, let me switch back over to where I was just at. Let's go to this screen right here. Come on. Technical issues. Okay. All right. So let's head back over and let's finish what we were doing here. So let's see. Thumbs up. Hey there, Ethel Monk. How are you doing? Dash, there is mods that improve ventilation. Okay, great. You've inspired me as a collector. I've recently purchased one Nintendo 3DS. Hopefully we'll get it soon. Yeah, there's no reason to not collect hardware. I've got just stuff everywhere. One day maybe I should show my collection. I always thought about doing a collection video. Okay, so I did want to talk about that. That's complete. The other thing that I was also going to talk about, here, we'll talk about this one real quick. This is one that I also had bookmarked because there's so many people that always ask about it. And that is a frame rate counter for your PlayStation 3. So people want this for PlayStation 4, obviously, too. There's a couple of ways that people does this, but I found this one. I bookmarked this a long time ago. A long time ago in the scene, right? This is from April the 28th, and it was published a new update of Vsh Fps Counter. It's a plug-in for the PlayStation 3 console that allows you to view various information on your screen. So everything such as the FPS is up there at the top. It says the update fixes several bugs and improves the CPU and GPU clock. Let me see if I can get a bigger picture. So there it is. It's just up there at the top. I don't know if you're interested in getting an FPS for your PlayStation 3. It looks like this will be the one that you may want to take a look at. So I'll put all of these links into the show notes here today, but if you just want to play around with these, you can. The other one that I had that I thought was really interesting was this project, and it was just called Check Game Firmware. So this is something that you would install locally. And so what I have done is I have went ahead and I have downloaded this application, and I've put this application right here, and I wanted just to kind of quickly take a peek at it. I have already loaded this one time before, so it should run. Everything should be okay. But what is interesting about this is that this allows you to at least be able to see what firmware a certain game is on. So here is the application itself. And let's just go to game title. And so we know that Horizon, Horzon, we know that Horizon, for example, let's see, Horizon Zero Dawn, let's go Forbidden West. We know that this one's on 9.03. So here, compatibility for the jailbreak is incompatible. Here's when that game was released, and then there is what the least amount of the firmware is required, so 9.03. It's also good, I found, for some older games. So I was recently playing these South Park games, and South Park, The Fractured But Whole. Out of every game that I own for the PlayStation 4, this game, South Park, The Fractured But Whole, is the game that I have played the most out of the entire PlayStation 4 library. I have a little over 30 hours in this game, and that's sad, but it's because it's actually a really good RPG. And if you add on the downloadable content, it's awesome. But this game, you can check and you can see that this is 4.74. Now, there's obviously, this is great and everything. Also, it tells, down here, who it was by. But there's also the default, what is that called? Default. There is another online checker. So PS4 game checker. Let's see. PSN deals. Maybe one of you may know it, but default, something like default, there it is, default DNB, this one. So this is obviously the online version, and that application that we have right here is just one that uses this database that they have created in order to serve it up locally, so you don't have to go to this website. But I do find that if you ever really wanted to go and you wanted to check what firmware is currently on a game, one of these two choices would definitely be kind of your best kind of like things to go and to check out. So cool. And yeah, that was the main like 3 or 4 things that I wanted to talk about here. Those were the things I kind of had bookmarked. I know there was also a pretty big announcement with the PlayStation VR stuff. So there was PlayStation VR, and there was a hack there where they were able to dump the secrets. So let's go to this page. I thought this was a little bit interesting. So we'll go back over to this desktop one more time, and here it is. Fail Overflow discloses the PSVR hack. They can dump the hardware secrets of the device. This works on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. So it says, describes several security vulnerabilities of the PSVR headsets. Most notably, some functions accessed through the PCIe interface allowed them to decrypt and copy the firmware image into readable memory. This lets them get access to all of the PSVR keys, which were stored in the dumped trusted application. Furthermore, the team managed to dump actual hardware secrets through FIGO. What are the implications for the PlayStation 4? It says they ultimately didn't use the PSVR authentication mechanisms as an entry point to hack the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4. The scene could technically use any programmable device to act as a PSVR headset for these two consoles, then dig to see if this gives them access to more trusted information within the consoles. So not really a whole lot that comes out of this, but this was one that I thought that was pretty easy, pretty cool that they had. Okay, there. Take care, Mr. Mifu. I greatly appreciate you for hanging out here. Okay, so let's see what else we have in the comments, and then we probably will be wrapping it up for the day. Do you know Al-Aziz prepared a payload for PS4 9.60? I don't think so. Add me on 3DS. Honestly, I don't even know what my Nintendo ID is. I use MB Crump, just MB Crump, my channel name, pretty much everywhere. How long does it take for a jailbreak to release? SGN, that's a really good question there. And for the most part, I just wanted to let you know that there's no real time frames. I would say the last one that we had was in December of last year, and that was for 9.00. Will there be another one this year? I would hope so. I would say usually within every year, there's something that typically comes out. It's very much, if you're in this game, it's a wait and see type of game. I have one PlayStation 4 that's on 9.04 that is just right now, it's just sitting in a box, like it's not being used or anything, because I'm waiting for something to come out for it. I'll probably be switching over to that one because it's a pro model that I got for very cheap, but it was already on a higher firmware, so I couldn't do anything with it. Wait and see is the name of the game. If you really want to take advantage of it, I'd probably sell it and try to get a 9.00. Let's see here. Hey, how did you find out that car game you own had day one DLC on it? Did you just use a PS4 database or something? Oh, I know what game you're talking about. You're talking about the Mud Runner game. No, before I bought that game just for the video. I think I actually said that during that video, but let's see, that was Mud Runner. Let's see, I think that one was just called Mud Runner. Let's see, DLC, Alt F, DLC. Backup games. Yeah. So yeah, this was the game that I got. I did know, like I was saying, I was very much aware that there was DLC that was on it before I bought it. And I bought it strictly for the purpose of the video. I had some credit, so it didn't really cost me that much money. But yeah, that was the game that I bought for it. I knew there was DLC on it, so it would make a good use for a video. Just some info on games from jailbroken PS4s. It happens because you can connect to Sony's servers. You can't sign in. It's not very much to worry about because it uses your ID. Okay, so Nicholas, that was for the other person. Lucas says, just got here. I don't know if it was asked. If there's a chance to get releases of new games that need higher firmware to run in 9.0. Hey there, Lucas. So that's a really good question, and what I would say there for the most part is that it does happen some, not very often though. What you typically see is a game like Days Gone, which was released prior to 9.00, but the patches for that game require 9.00 or higher. Typically, games that were before 9.00, they're obviously all dumped, but the patches, they can get the patches to work typically with those games. Games that start out on 9.03 or 9.04 or whatever, you're really less likely to see those. There's obviously been some games that they've claimed that these were already, at higher, 9.03, 9.04. But when you start getting higher than, higher than that, you're not really going to see any of those on a PS4 9.00. Basically, they're doing a process of backporting those games in order to get those to run. Do I know anything about the 9.60 payload? I do not know anything about the 9.60 payload. Do you think that there is any hardware exploits on the PS4 that hasn't been found? Absolutely, yes. There is. There's definitely something out there that hasn't been found yet. And it's all a matter of time. You look at like these older consoles, like look at the Dreamcast like today. The capabilities, even like the original Xbox, some of the HDMI mods for it, you can now add like a 32 like terabyte hard drive or something to it, something crazy. And the whole game collection doesn't even take that much. Look at the PlayStation 2 now. Like the reason nobody needs PlayStation 2 mods is, because of these memory cards and some of these other things that's out there now. Trying to think of what the name of that one was, the one that I've built a couple of times. But there's SD, now on the PlayStation 2, you can load games on an SD card and use a special little memory card and just plug it in there and it plays. Night Terror says, "Hey Michael, do you know what those options, destroy application and destroy application metadata in the debug settings are?" For some of those, Night Terror, some of those, when an application is served up, it's in that memory, you can, for the developer, they need to get rid of all traces of it. Normally, when you just close out of an application, there's still some traces of it that's still there. But for developers, a lot of those settings there is to just completely eliminate it. That way, that developer that's building that game can pretend as if they're getting a brand new fresh start. So yeah, so pretty cool, pretty cool stuff. Well, I tell you what, I really enjoyed hanging out here with everybody. I greatly do appreciate your time spending here with me today. I think I'm going to head out and get a few other things done. But yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. I absolutely love to have you here as I kind of learn and explore more things myself. It's so fun to share and to learn everything. Thanks there, Pro Joe. I could probably tell you maybe some other donations, some other people that may need it more than I need it, but I greatly do appreciate that from you though. Nicholas, Michael, did you hear about NVIDIA open sourcing their GPU kernel modules? I did not, but I don't really keep up that much with GPUs. I really don't. Well, anyway, if anybody's on Twitter, I'm always on Twitter too. That's one thing I always forget to tell people about is that I use Twitter, and if you use it, you can always follow me over there and send me a DM if you want to. Also, Discord is another great place too, which I don't know if I've got that set up anymore, but Discord may work or it may not. Otherwise, there's usually a link to that that's in one of my other channels, or usually in the channels. All right, thanks everybody, and I will talk to you later. Take care, and bye-bye.